This entire harvest started with a single jar of grain. Most beginners focus on the monotub, humidity, airflow, all the fruiting conditions. But long before any of that matters, the growth starts here with grain spawn. If these jars are clean and healthy, the rest of the process gets a whole lot easier. If they're not, the grow can fail before it ever even begins. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how I make these jars step by step, from hydrating the grains to loading the jars to sterilizing them so they're ready for inoculation. Let's start at the beginning. Simply put, grain spawn is just cooked grain that mycelium grows through. That's it. We use grains because they're nutrient dense, have a lot of surface area, and just allow the mycelium to spread quickly. As the mycelium colonizes, it will move grain to grain until this one jar becomes a complete mycelial network. It's pretty freaking cool to watch. And at the point that you have this jar fully colonized, you'll be ready to add it to your substrate, which is going to greatly expand the growth and ultimately end with you getting a ton of mushrooms. You can kind of think of grain spawn as the colonization engine. The more healthy spawn you use, the faster everything is going to colonize and the less opportunity for contamination to set in. And that's why this step, creating healthy spawn, matters so much. The process for making grain spawn is pretty simple. First, we want to hydrate the grain so it has the right moisture content for mycelium to really thrive. After that, we load our grain into jars and sterilize them in a pressure cooker to eliminate any competing organisms that could ultimately ruin our grow. And once the jars have cooled down completely, they'll be ready for inoculation, which is where the mycelium actually begins colonizing the grain. So with that in mind, let's start with the first step, hydrating the grain. This part can feel pretty intimidating because you'll see people online talking about exact ratios or specific times, and it doesn't have to be that complicated. Instead of trying to burn some strict measurements into your mind, I'm going to teach you exactly what to look for to know when your grain is ready. So for today's video, I'm using whole oats. These will sometimes be called recleaned oats or whole oat groats. People use all kinds of different grains for spawn. They'll use rye, millet, birdseed, popcorn. It doesn't really matter. I just use what's affordable and accessible for me, which is whole oats from the local feed store. I got a 50-pound bag for I think like 20 bucks. Now all grains have their pros and cons, but something that I really like about oats is that they don't need to be soaked overnight like rye berries. They hydrate really quickly with just a little bit of simmering on the stovetop, which I think keeps them really convenient and simple. So all I do is I fill this pot about 20 to 30% full with oats, and then I cover them with water. Use a generous amount of water here because these oats are going to expand a lot. Now I'll throw them on the stovetop and bring them to a simmer. I don't really want a rolling boil. Keeping control over the heat here is really important because if these things boil too aggressively or if they sit on the heat too long, they're going to start to burst open. A couple burst grains here and there will be fine, but if you have a ton of grains bursting, it's a big release of starch, and that starch creates a really mushy texture. And that mushiness is going to make it way easier for contamination to take hold later on, so we really want to avoid bursting too many grains. Also, just keep an eye on that water level. Again, the oats are going to expand. You're probably going to have to add more water than you think. So what we're looking for here is our oats to actually plump up, and they almost look kind of inflated. Additionally, they'll get sort of translucent in the center, and you can tell by ripping them in half. If you rip them in half and the inside still looks kind of white or chalky, that's a sign that they still need more time. We want to rip them open and see sort of a translucent, almost starting to become like a gel-like center. For me, the simmering process usually ends up taking about 40 to 45 minutes, but like I said, it's better to just go based off of what you're seeing than some strict time measurement. Once your oats are all looking plump and you've torn open a couple of them to see that translucent center, they're going to be ready to drain. Here we want to just drain the oats, rinse them with some cold sink water, and then spread them out to dry. I like to just lay a simple mesh screen in my sink, then pour the oats on top and stir them occasionally to help distribute that moisture and help them dry. Now, our ideal scenario here is a grain that's wet on the inside and dry on the outside. Now, if they're all plump, they're going to be wet on the inside, but to test how wet they are on the outside, what I like to do is just throw a paper towel on top of the pile, grab a small handful of the oats and drop them on top. Then I'll leave that for 30 seconds or so and check the paper towel. If the paper towel is lightly damp or there's just a couple little wet spots, that's a sign that our oats are probably dry enough and they're ready to go into jars. On the other hand, if you pick up that paper towel and it's pretty saturated, we're going to want to give these a few more minutes to keep drying. Now, getting this balance right here is one of the most important things you can do for a clean grow. Overly wet grains are going to dramatically increase the chance of contamination before your grow even really has a chance to start. So just be patient, don't rush the grains into jars, and make sure the surface of them gets dry enough. With our grain all ready and appropriately dry, it's time to load the jars. I like to fill each jar about halfway to 2/3 full, no more than that. We want to leave that empty space in the jar to speed up the colonization process down the road. Once the mycelium starts colonizing this grain, we're going to want to do something called break and shake, which redistributes the mycelium throughout the jar. And if we fill these jars too full, that process is going to be impossible. Trust me, I know from personal experience, as I've made that mistake a couple of times. And my favorite secret benefit of using this screen door mesh material is that the grains don't stick to it at all, so it's super easy to get that last bit in your final jar. If you've ever had to try scraping up those last few grains by hand, it's an annoying, painstaking process. Now, before I screw on the lids and throw these things in the pressure cooker, I want to briefly explain the lid design and why it's important. We have to make special lids for these jars because as the mycelium colonizes the grain, it's breathing oxygen and releasing carbon dioxide, just like you or I. So if we don't have air exchange, that mycelium is going to suffocate and it's not going to grow. So with these modified lids, I have one side that's covered with an adhesive filter that acts as a barrier to let fresh air in and carbon dioxide out while blocking contaminants from entering the jar. The other hole in this lid is going to serve as an injection port, which is what we'll use to inoculate these jars. It's a simple modification, it's easy to do, the supplies for it are super cheap. All I do is I take a hole punch and I punch a 1/4 inch hole into each side of the lid. Then I stick the air filter on and I slide the injection port through. You can get like 100 of these injection ports and filters for your lids for like 10 bucks. By the way, all the gear that I'm using today is going to be linked in the description down below if you want to check it out. Now, once the jars are filled and we throw our lids on, we're going to cover these lids with a little bit of foil. This is going to keep water from dripping onto our air filters during the sterilization process. Now at this point, our jars are all loaded up and they're ready for the next step. Grain is extremely nutrient rich, which unfortunately means that not only is it good for our mycelium, but it's going to be good for other competing funguses, molds, and bacteria. That's why the sterilization step is so important. If you skip this step or rush it, you're just going to be growing jars of contamination. Now, unfortunately, this is going to be the most expensive piece of equipment that you'll need on your mushroom growing journey, but it really is just a one-time purchase, and that's going to be a pressure cooker. Pressure cookers are essential to sterilizing our grain. I'm going to briefly cover the sterilization process in this video, and if you're new to pressure cookers or want a full walkthrough on how to use one effectively for mushroom cultivation, I've made an entire video on that such thing, and I'm going to link it in the description down below. I highly recommend checking it out. So here you'll want to load your jars into the pressure cooker according to your manufacturer's instructions, and then we're going to sterilize them at 15 psi for 90 minutes. After that 90 minutes is up, turn off your heat source and just allow the pressure cooker to naturally depressurize on its own. Don't open up any valves. I usually leave my jars to just cool down in the pressure cooker overnight. Now you might notice the grain compacts slightly at the bottom. Once they're cooled, just give them a quick shake to loosen everything back up. Then they're ready for the next step. Grain jars are so important because getting them properly made is the first step in mushroom growing. Until you're able to get this process right, you won't be able to move on to the next step successfully. In reality, this whole process is really just the setup for inoculation, which is where the grow really begins. So in the next video, I'm going to show you how to safely introduce mushroom culture into these jars so our mycelium can begin the colonization process. And if you want to grab some mushroom liquid culture to start that inoculation process with me next week, be sure to visit happymycelium.com. Thanks for watching, and as always, happy growing.